I lost two sisters, two siblings, two younger sisters on the same day. A boat accident, the boat capsized, and my sisters could not swim, and they drowned. Something that's an incident that affected my entire family. For me, it broke me into 1,000 little pieces. But I have to say, this God who allowed this to happen on his watch, I got very, very angry with God. And I thought, what's the point of this relationship you and I are having? But guess what? And this is strange. And I just hope that someone here can catch this. In that place of depression, in that deep and dark and gray place, I discovered God in a strangely very intimate way, in a new way. And I realized that at the end of the day, these two young souls were no longer with us, but they had gone on to a better place. Yeah. And that is when I started to think, what about you?
Well, right now, I want to bring on our guest for today. Clara Rufai is our Shine Strategist, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about what that means in a minute. She's a corporate lawyer, so we have that same background of law. She's won 3 awards. She's written a book, co-authored 2 other books, and she's a coach, an author, she's a podcaster, she does lots of things. I thought I was busy until I had a chat with this woman. I thought I was busy. Please help me welcome Clara. You're muted, I think, Clara. And your video is not on. Fantastic. That's better. Oh my gosh. You look glamorous.
Okay.
You are shining.
So do you. How are you?
I'm great. It's so good to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm pleased to be here.
It's our pleasure. Listen, I want you to just tell us a little bit about yourself to start off with. I've tried to introduce you, but if you just tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Great. So my name's Clara Rufai. I'm the Shine Strategist. And I'm a corporate lawyer and compliance professional, but I happen to do a whole lot more than that.
Yes.
That's my day job. But I'm also the creator of the Shine philosophy. And the Shine philosophy is basically founded on the belief that as humans, purposefully crafted by an intentional God, we have greatness on the inside. And quite often life happens and a lot of us end up living our lives at half-mast, if you like, rather than full-mast. And so my job, my self-assigned job, and I believe my God-ordained destiny really, is to let everyone know that I come across, let them know that, hey, did you know you have this deposit of greatness inside of you? You could change the world with the light that's inside. It's like an open secret. It's there, but quite a lot of us just go through life without seeing it. So my work as the Shine Strategist is to build, structures, avenues and portals to just help people express themselves, to be the best version of themselves, to shine, to learn to unapologetically shine the light on their brilliance.
I love that word, unapologetically. I just say to people, if people are bothered with your shine, give them a pair of sunglasses.
Oh my God. That is so true.
If people are bothered with your shine, give them a pair of sunglasses. Don't give your shine.
Doing absolutely what you are called to do and what you should be doing, and you do not need to apologize for it.
You don't need to apologize for it. Shine as brightly as you can. If it's too much for them, give them a pair of sunglasses. But Clara, why do you think? Because it is true. I think it is true that there are lots of people who live their life half-mast, like you say. They settle for what they have, rather than going for what they want, okay? Why do you think that is? Why do you think there are lots of people who do that?
I think, like I mentioned before, or I alluded to it before, I think it is just the cares of life, the fact that, society preconditions us to think that we have to go through a certain path in life. Take me, for instance, and I like to give myself as an example. I studied to be a lawyer, and I'm a good lawyer, and all of that. But had I had a choice, had I been allowed to make that choice, I probably would be on stage. I would be acting on Broadway. I would be singing.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we have so much in common. Now, when I filled in my form to my entrance form to get into university, do you know what I filled in as my first choice?
Tell me.
Performing arts. Okay,
Oh,
what they used to call it? What did they used to call it then? Theater arts. I can't remember what they called it. And my father was like, "What? Not on your life! You are going to study law."
We have that in common.
Yeah, but you know what? Looking at my life now, I can see where the performing arts or theater arts still comes into play.
Absolutely.
I have no regrets studying law, none whatsoever. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, but carry on.
So yeah, I really do think that's true. That's true, and it's amazing how much we have in common, because I remember my conversation. It kind of went, what? After all we've done for you, after you will do no such thing, you will do a nice, respectable course like law or medicine if you were, that way inclined. But anyway, I digress. The reason I think that a lot of people are living at half-mast are where they are rather than where they would like to be. The main reason would be fear. And I hate to sound cliche, but it is true. When something is true, there's no other way of saying it. And fear has been rightly described or defined as false evidence appearing real. So when you're busy troubling yourself with those thoughts of, what if I fail? What if I fall? What if I'm not as good? And you were talking about comparison. When I heard you talking just before you admitted me into the room, I thought, that's it. This woman has said it all. I mean, can we just say grace and go home? Because you have blown the ball right out of the park. Those 10 points that you gave are so absolutely true. And the fact that you could be vulnerable enough to admit that it's something that everybody does, including yourself, that you once struggle with it, that is so true, because people often need to look to influencers and thought leaders like yourself to say, oh, she's just like me. She's really, the girl next door, except that, as you say, she's an ordinary person doing extraordinary stuff with her life. So the reason people are staying tied into the stories that they don't want, the lifestyles that they don't want, is the fear of failure and the fear of not being as good as the next person, and the fear of, sometimes they're clueless in the sense of, they just don't know where to start. They don't have access to the right information, the right resources. But what I always say is, we are not in this season of our lives lacking information.
No.
If anything is going too much, there's a lot of yada, yada, yada. There is way too much information. So it is knowing what's for you, taking that on board and throwing the rest into the trash can of life. And then knowing how to take what's for you and implementing it into actionable steps. And then keeping yourself disciplined, focus on the path to your purpose. You talk about purpose. I believe so much in purpose. It's something that I talk about all the time. So I think that we need to, anyone in that space needs to first of all have that, what I call that intimate conversation, the most intimate conversation you can have with yourself, that I, me, and myself conversation. Who am I? Why am I here? What are my talents, and who am I called to serve with these talents? When you ask all those questions, and it's quite easy to pretend that you're asking those questions and you're not really asking them. It's even easier to ask those questions and tell yourself lies, and to believe those lies. But if you answer those questions truthfully, it will get you started on your shine journey. I'll tell you a little bit later on what I mean by shine journey.
Yes, we'll come into that, because I'm eager to hear about the shine strategy. I'm eager. But you made a brilliant point. The thing is, we have certain beliefs, and we have stories to hold those beliefs in place.
Make them seem valid.
Experiences we've had in the past, life experiences, we use them to hold those beliefs in place, to say, see, it's true, because when the last time I tried, this is what happened. Or see, when I stepped out to go into that relationship, it failed. See, I told you I cannot make it work. So let me just stay where I am. Well, for me, the fear is the bigger fear is the fear of thinking what could have been. Because listen, it's life. Let's not take life I don't want to say let's not take life too seriously, but it's life. Life is meant to be lived. Life is meant to be lived. So live it, make the mistakes, go on the adventure, have the failures, experience it all. So
Absolutely.
on one hand, you need to ask yourself, but what if I try and I do succeed? That's one question to ask. But on the other hand, what if you really do try and you fail? What's the big deal? You've learned something, you've tried something, you've stretched
Absolutely.
yourself, you've learned. One of the mistakes I say people make when they set goals is thinking that the idea of setting the goal or the purpose of setting the goal is to achieve the goal. No, when you set goals, don't make the achieving the main purpose. The purpose of setting a goal is to grow, to
To
become the
stretch
person,
yourself.
to become the person that can achieve that goal. So when you shift your perspective in that way, it frees you from this fear of failure, because once you
Absolutely.
start that journey, you will grow. You will grow. So when you take the pressure off yourself, hi everyone, thank you for joining in. Really appreciate you. Hi Martha, hi Sade, hi. Oh, thank you. Oh, I can't mention you all by name, but really, really, really appreciate you joining me. But that's such a valid point. Have that conversation with yourself, that honest conversation. Am I happy with where I am? Am I fulfilled? Is this the best me that I can be? If the answer is no, then start to ask the right questions, start to move in the right direction. Get a
Absolutely.
coach, get a mentor. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today without the mentoring and the coaching that I've received. Get a coach, get a mentor. There's a lot of help out there. But I want to go back to this shine strategy, Clara, because you suffered some tragedy in your life. Very painful tragedy that I can't even imagine what it would have been like.
Mm.
But what I find really interesting is you actually say that the birthing of your purpose came from that. You see, we all have painful experiences that we go through. Well, not everybody has the privilege of being able to say, out of that painful experience came something beautiful. Out of that ashes came something beautiful. So I want you to just share with us a little bit about what happened and what came out of that.
Okay. You're right. It was a really traumatic event for anybody by any definition. I lost two sisters, two siblings, two younger sisters on the same day. A boat accident. They were trying to go across in a small boat, and there was I don't know, suddenly there was rain, storm, or whatever it was, and the water got a bit choppy, and the boat took in water, and the boat capsized, and my sisters could not swim, and they drowned.
Mm.
Now, this was the most, I wouldn't say it was my first introduction to pain, because before then, at age 13, we had lost my dad. My dad died when I was 13. But as a family, we came together, we pulled through, and we were going strong. And it wasn't a function of how much we had or how rich we were. We were just people of faith, people who believed, we just lived a life of gratitude. And so to have this happen again, barely about 13 years after my dad died, was just the most crushing event of my adult life.
Mm.
The most crushing event of my adult life. At that time, I had come to, be in a position where I was sort of responsible for my younger siblings in terms of, looking out for them, their emotions, and just talking to them, just helping them dream, basically. And quite often I was in a different location outside of, our hometown, my home state, because I was doing some government scheme, which you do when after you graduate from school and from the university in Nigeria. And so the way that wasn't the time when there was telephones everywhere, mobile phones. So the way that my sisters communicated with me mostly was through writing me letters. And I look forward to receiving those letters and just thinking about them, happy girls like they were. They were 14 and 16, and they were just the most adorable girls, always happy. But this happened, and it happened that my mum was actually fixing lunch at the time. And to have someone run into your, home and say, this has happened to your children when you were right then just fixing their lunch.
Wow.
I think that was, I think about every thing that happened today. I'm sorry, I stutter. I still feel a bit, when I talk about it, but I think about it and I still am of the opinion that my mom is an amazing person. She's got to be the strongest woman I have ever seen. How she pulled through that, I cannot say. But, to add to the trauma of it, it wasn't the kind of death where you could lay them up nicely and prettily and, have a grave and somewhere to go. Because I had, there's certain cultures that came to play, which I wasn't expecting them to come to play. I had written a poem, and what I thought was, okay, this has happened. And when I get home, I'm going to be able to sort of like take flowers to the grave and put the poem on the grave and all of that. That wasn't to be. And I won't, bore you with the details of why that wasn't. But the pain of knowing that not one, but two, one would have been painful enough, but two siblings. And you sort of feel like, I wish I had been there. I wish I had, and the story was told to us by those who were rescued from the boat, that apparently, even though the boats couldn't swim, it was a small body of water. So it's really a freak accident, really, really a freak accident. Because had it not been raining at that time, there were lots of able-bodied young men and, people on the other side to where they were crossing to, who would have immediately jumped in to rescue probably everybody. But as it was, because it was raining, a lot of people had retreated to take shelter from the rain. So it was, again, a very brief, very freak rain. And after the rain, they come out and what's going on? Where's the boat? It was, it was right in the middle of the water and it was nowhere to be found. And then, they tried to rescue those that they rescued. But let me just say that, as probably can be expected, that just sent me, something that's an incident that affected my entire family. For me, it broke me into 1,000 little pieces. Because I remember the journey. I was in a different town at the time, and my aunt came and gave me the news, and I had to travel back with my aunt. I remember that was the longest, most painful journey. I bawled my eyes out. My eyes were red. I developed a fever. I was choking up on my tears. It just didn't seem real. It didn't seem real. It didn't seem real. And when I got home to just see everyone, I thought that somebody would tell me, this is a joke. This is a dream.
Mistake.
Dream. It's a mistake. I just did not get, why this was happening to me. So I didn't retreat. I was pulled into a spiraling web, if you like, of depression, which I didn't even give it that name at the time. And in that space, I felt that that's it, done. I can never, ever smile again in this life. I can never be happy. And I have to say this, because it's so important, because it's so different to where I am now. But I have to say, this God who allowed this to happen on his watch, I got very, very angry with God. And I thought, what's the point of this relationship you and I are having? I was miserable all the time. I couldn't function at work or at anything else. But guess what? And this is strange. And I just hope that someone here can catch this. In that place of depression, in that deep and dark and gray place, I discovered God in a strangely very intimate way, in a new way. Because I felt him start to talk to me and start to tell me that he's never left me. He would never desert me. He would never leave me forsaken. And I realized that at the end of the day, these two young souls were no longer with us, but they had gone on to a better place. I began to sort of like, from the recesses of my memory, I began to dredge up the happy memories we had, and they laughed a lot, bless them. So I thought about all those things. I thought about how that it was sad, though. I couldn't get over that their lives had been cut short, like really cut short. Yeah. And that is when I started to think, what about you? If you died today, what about you? What footprints would you have left in the sands of time? What would you be remembered for? And from that time on till now, I can tell everybody who knows me knows this. I say this all the time, that my greatest fear, I do have a fear, and my greatest fear is the fear of dying unsung. Is the fear of dying and no one can see something that I've birthed, that I've created, that I have inspired, like a movement or a book or someone's life that I've touched, or a song that I've sung, or something that I've created with my hands, with my gifts, with my talents, with my passion. that people, that could continue to give to people, that could continue to bless people.
Yeah.
And that is my greatest fear in life. And I have decided to live my life to never, ever regret, have that regret. So I moved on from that, and I began, even though I didn't know that was my shine story and my shine ideology starting, that incident of losing my sisters was actually the beginning of this journey, because that's when I said, who are you really? Because there's a reason for you being here. There's a reason for your life. You still have your life. What are you going to do with it? And that's when I started to, create things. I started to write. I started to put out little limericks, inspirational little pieces. I started to test the waters, if you like. And I saw that my writing and my thoughts and my ideas, my content was inspiring people, and it was making people think in a different way. I then gradually began to, see myself as that influencer and that thought leader who could get people to go from where they are, which may be unsatisfactory, to where they want to be. And I began to teach people the strategies, the skills, and the keys that they can use to unlock that door, basically.
The point, that is just so powerful, such a powerful testimony. Thank you for sharing it with us. What you said about the way we respond to things like that happens to us. I always say, when things like that happen, we tend to ask the wrong question. We tend to ask why instead of what. We tend to ask, why me?
Absolutely.
Why did it happen? Why didn't this happen? Instead of what now? What are you saying? What needs to happen now? What am I supposed to be doing now? So instead of asking that why, we should be asking what. Because there is always a way. There's always a silver lining. There's always hope. There's always something to look forward to, as long as you have life. It can be very difficult to accept in the moment when you're going through it, but that is the truth. And that is such a powerful thing, that you were able to come away from that and actually think, okay, but what now? I'm here. What about me? They're gone, but what about me? There's a purpose for me being here, and I'm going to fulfill that purpose. So just tell us a little, because we're fast running out of time. Oh my gosh. Tell us about the SHINE strategy, because I know that word SHINE stands for something. So tell us a little bit about that.
I'll try to speed through this one. So the SHINE philosophy is an ideology. It's a transformational ideology. And it just basically calls us to soar higher into new expressions. And what that simply means is, no matter who you are, where you are, or how far you've traveled, there's always a next level up.
Yep.
So this ideology calls you to consider what your next level up is. How do you continue to grow? How do you continue to improve? And as opposed to comparing yourself with somebody else, how can you be a better version of who you were yesterday?
Yeah.
So the only person you should be comparing yourself with is with who you were yesterday. Yeah. So every day, in every way, getting better, seeking to get better and better. So it's a competition against yourself, if that. Now the SHINE, apart from what it means, the SHINE strategies is a 5-step strategy that I love to teach. The journey must begin with you starting. So the S in SHINE stands for start. Each one of us must do the work, take the time to start on our SHINE journey, to embark. Because no matter how good your dreams are, I know they say write the vision, run with it and all of that, but even if you write it down and you do nothing, you take no action, then it's no better than the piece of paper on which it was written on. So you do have to start on your journey. And after doing that, once you've done that, you have to begin to think of ways to harness your gifts, your talents, your abilities, what it is that is unique to you, what it is that just makes you shine, what it is that you can use to serve other people. Harness them. And because you're going to have to create something of value with those things so that you can make your world better, you can serve it to somebody else as a gift. Yeah. That's how I see my life. And then the I there is to identify. And there's so many things you can identify. Of course, apart from identifying, who you are, what your message is, what your platform is, you also need to identify who you're called to serve and in what way, with what am I called to serve them? In what way? What's the avenue? Is to network. Networking, basically building and leveraging and nurturing relationships that can help you achieve your purpose and your plan in life, because everyone has a grand plan, a life plan. And then the express, oh my God, that explains itself. Express, express, express. You have to be living your life in such a way that everything you do and say, everything you stand for is a true, authentic representation of what you say your vision, your mission, and your purpose in life is. People have to be able to see, because talk is cheap. But people have to be able to give you that verdict, basically free of charge, not scripted, not you asking for it. People have to be able to say, Mary, this is what I see when I see you. This is how you inspire me. This is who I see you as. Basically, if people can say that and that resonates with the message that you have, with your mission and your vision, then you've nailed it.
Yeah.
You've nailed it.
So I want to be a full expression of all that I am created to be.
Absolutely.
There's so many gifts, so many talents that I have. I keep saying to people, my dream is to star in a movie. People laugh when I say it. So if you're a movie producer out there, I'm your girl. I want to start in a movie. Why not? Why not? Why do I have to be limited because I am this and then I'm put in that box? No, I want to fully express everything that I can be before I go.
Let's go, girl.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us today. We are out of time, but I'm not going to let you go. You know what, guys, just to our viewers, you are on this planet to make a difference. You're supposed to live a life of significance. John Maxwell talks about the difference between success and significance. He says success is what you do for yourself. Significance is what you do for others. So we're not just talking about your success in your family, your business, in everything you're doing. I'm talking about how are you going to touch your world before you leave? What mark are you going to leave here before you go? You are created to be of significance. So I really want you to embrace what Clara shared with us, the Shine strategy. Think about your purpose, think about your values, and just take that step and know that wherever you may be right now, like she said, there's somewhere higher that you can go. And the most important thing is to remember that you absolutely can. Okay, you can. So I'm going to ask you, Clara, before we finish, just some questions I ask all my guests. Let me just go back to my notes. So I think this speaks for itself, but what's your passion? These are going to be really, really short answers. What's your passion?
Inspiring people to be the best version of themselves, fully expressing their gifts, their talents, and their abilities, because that is their shine.
Yeah, absolutely. Biggest lesson learned to date?
Never, ever pull the plug on yourself.
Oh, wow, that is powerful. That is powerful. Because
had I pulled the plug on myself years back, when I was in that dark place,
you wouldn't be here today. And the lives that you've touched, because we didn't have time to go into that. You won 3 awards. You don't win 3 awards for nothing. You've touched lives, John Maxwell always talked about the time he had a heart attack. And he said he saw that as a wake-up call, similar to yours. He said, when I pulled through that, he thought to himself, I'm here. I have to maximize every single minute. And he said years later, he wrote to the doctor that saved his life and said, listen, you did not waste your time on me. This is what I've done since that time. I've started this company. I've trained hundreds of leaders in hundreds of countries. And so yeah, let me carry on. Number 3, most difficult thing you've ever done.
Most difficult thing I've ever done is throw away my truckload of valid excuses. Because this is true. I'm busy. I have no time. I'm a lawyer. I'm a corporate professional. How am I supposed to write a book? I'm barely sleeping enough hours. I've got a young family. How am I supposed to be relevant and influence other people? This cannot be done. I told myself. But I had to part ways with that truckload of excuses, and voila.
They say the only thing worse than an excuse is a valid excuse. Most embarrassing moment. Most embarrassing moment.
Ooh, I'd have to think a little bit. That is probably something that's hidden. Should probably not come out. I was very young. Very first time I had a period. and I didn't quite manage it very well. And it was on show for everyone to see.
Oh wow! Oh my gosh, that must have been extremely embarrassing. But
I was, but you know, decades ago.
goodness for even being able to share that. That's awesome. Whose mind would you most want to get into and why?
Jack Canfield.
Oh, that is a
I
good.
love several of his works, several of his thoughts that he shared, have stayed with me. There's a lot of people I would love to get into their minds. It's a shame you're allowing me to get into only one person's mind, but Jack is somebody I'd love to get into his mind. He shares a lot of value that resonates with me and my message.
That is a good choice. Yeah, I love his quotes. I love his books as well. Right. So, who is your role model and why?
My role model would have to be my dad. I can't let go of that. I'm sorry. My dad was the most amazing person. He was a giver. And if there's anything about who I am today, I would say quite easily 95% of who I am and how I love to give to others and how I love to give value basically is because of what I watched my dad do growing up. So I just put him in that position where he is my biggest role model.
Great. Final question. What does success mean to you?
Oh my God, success is basically the process for me of taking root downward in order to bear fruit upward. So it's a process. I can't give it a better definition than that. And I know you said, what does it mean? That's what it means to me. So every day when I'm growing something, writing something, putting something down, I feel like I'm planting and there is going to be a watering season. And what comes up afterwards is then what I call success. And it's not monetary. Success is in things like lives touched, value given, and, you know, the footprints you leave on the sands of time, basically.
Absolutely. It's a journey. Success is a journey. It's not necessarily a destination. Somebody said it's the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And I love that definition. Progressive meaning it's a journey. It's a journey. And as I'm going on that journey, I am a success already. I don't have to wait.
Absolutely.
As long as I'm progressively realizing my worthy ideal, I'm a success.
Clara, little improvements every single day.
Yeah. Shine strategist, you shine, keep shining, keep shining. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
The show. Thank you everyone for joining us. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your comments. Really appreciate it. Do take care and remember as you carry on into the next week, you can. That is all I'm going to say. If you're second guessing yourself, just remember you can. Thank you. Stay blessed, everyone. Bye-bye. Thanks again. Thank you.